So very good day to everybody once again. So this is intermodal freight transportation, and in this class we understand and discuss some of the logistic concepts with regards to inbound, outbound, and then reverse logistics. Okay, so pretty much concept oriented that you have to undergo the definitions. Okay, so this is especially for you, my dear students and younger researchers, and you can reach me at dr.christoananth@gmail.com. So before beginning the session, once again, let me thank God for giving me this opportunity to deliver this useful session to share my knowledge among my fellow national, international participants, students, and young researchers. So here in this class, we'll have a short introduction about the logistic scenarios. Then we try to understand the differences between inbound as well as outbound logistics, importance of having effective inbound and then outbound logistics. Then we understand the processes which are involved. Actually, it's little bit a lengthy procedure, but anyway, we have to understand the process. Okay. Then we understand the logistics KPIs, key performance indicators. We understand the biggest challenges about the inbound and outbound, because whenever we say inbound and outbound, of course it has its merits, and of course there are some challenges in the real time scenario. Okay, and how you can optimize them with the usage of WMS, warehouse management system. Will conclude or summarize today's class. Okay, so I'll be giving you within this weekend assignment 4 for you. As I told you, like the next week I'll be giving you assignment 5, and that's it. That will be throughout this semester, and you have to submit them as early as possible. Okay, I want some application oriented, nationality specific uh, assignments as well, or maybe independent works as well. So please submit them, and I will be evaluating them in the Google Classroom. So at regular intervals, I'll be giving you some short videos to discuss the knowledge in our topics. Okay, right. So actually, whenever you say, I mean, discuss in the case of logistics, so it's nothing but common procedures or maybe processes where you try to transfer or maybe move goods throughout the retail supply chain. Okay, so transportation of products can take several distribution channels. It can move across several modes of transport even. So here we understand the importance of inbound as well as outbound logistics. Simply speaking, inbound logistics is all about supply, and outbound logistics is all about fulfilling the demand. Okay, so this is supply according to the processes that are involved, and outbound logistics is meeting or maybe fulfilling the demands and satisfaction even. Okay, so inbound logistics, you can have some examples. You can move the raw materials, supplies, or maybe finished goods, and so on. So that has to take over in the supply chain process. Okay, so here the businesses, whatever businesses that you take over, should have proper safety, security, and authentication procedures as well, and it obtains the products or maybe the materials that it is going to make it into a complete product, and that it will be eventually selling. So this is what happens in a inbound logistics. So here the supply is being secured, it obtains the products or maybe materials that is required to make the product, and that would be used for selling. Okay, so logistics processes which are involved here includes transporting raw materials, inventory that is required, supplies which are needed from the supplier, business warehouse, distribution center, fulfillment or maybe satisfaction center, or retail store. So everything is considered to be a complete process of the inbound logistics. Okay, so you can say like in the logistic procedure, like there will be sourcing, there will be order placement, vendor supplies, transportation, finally receiving, then the process continues in the supply chain process. Okay, so this is all about inbound logistics: transport raw materials, inventory, supplies, warehouse, fulfillment, satisfaction, and retail store. These are all like supply. Okay, and outbound logistics, as I told you, it's demand. It's demand. In one word, you can say it is demand. Okay, so it is all about moving the finished inventory out of the supply chain. So which means that you are moving the inventory out of the storage, you are going to satisfy or maybe fulfill the orders, and you are going to deliver it safely to the end customers. So the customers will be waiting to get the products delivered. Okay. So in the logistic process, here you try to confirm the order, fulfillment, which includes picking and then packing, okay, shipping, last mile delivery if it involves several modes of transportation, customer service, the feedback, okay, all such stuff, and troubleshoot the problems. This is very, 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 very important. You have to troubleshoot the problem. Okay, so if it is not packaged, if it is having any queries with regards to damage, which means it has to return, okay, and they have to rectify the error, and maybe they have to return if possible. Okay, so these end processes, final end processes, stage 2 process, are considered to be outbound logistics. Okay. So inbound and outbound logistics here, as I'm telling you or summarizing once again, you are going to secure the supply for a business, okay, and outbound logistics you are going to meet and then fulfill the demand. Okay, inbound logistics we are going to move the inventory, raw materials or maybe supplies, and finally outbound logistics you are going to move the finished products from the business to the end customer or user. So this is all about summarizing or maybe finding the difference between inbound and outbound logistics, right? So we are going to differentiate in particular. Okay, so here the processes, whatever with the case of inbound logistics, we follow the supply chain and secure processes are being carried over. With the case of outbound, we have finished inventory out of the supply chain, you are going to fulfill and ship the orders to the end customers. With the case of the inbound processes, we have material management, we have sourcing, warehouse receiving, inventory storage. When I say warehouse receiving, it is not process. The final process comes in the outbound logistics. Okay. But with the case of outbound logistics, you confirm the order, you process it, processing takes place here. Okay. And picking, packing, shipping, delivering, I mean last mile delivery, customer service, involving all other deliveries, that takes place in the outbound logistics. So I'm just giving you a nutshell about the differences. Okay, so maybe in the future, if you have to go on this one, so you should know about this one. Okay, and with the case of inbound logistics, it is transported from the supplier, manufacturer, or maybe third party, even distributor or product holder. Okay, with the case of outbound, it is transported from the company, brand, or maybe the retailer. Okay, or maybe third party logistics even. Okay, so here with the touch points, it is being delivered to the company, brand, retailer, third party logistics company. But in the case of outbound logistics, it is delivered to the end customers, end users, final point. That only has to be reached, not the intermediate things, right? So in the value chain, in the supply chain process, inbound logistics goes on, then the further operations or maybe processes are completed. Then we go with the outbound logistics, that is completely stage 2. Okay. Then marketing, sales, promotion, advertising, that all happens. Finally, service requirement, service satisfaction, service fulfilling happens. Okay. So here you are going to improve the flow of goods, which means that all the processes, all the businesses should be streamlined and the goods should move from one stage throughout the supply chain to the next. So whatever we carry forward, it should save our time, it should save our effort even, and the operations should be running smoothly. Remember this process service. So if you are going to troubleshoot all the problems, which means that the process will go smoothly. Otherwise, process will not go as required. Okay. So here, if you improvise the flow of goods, definitely it will increase the inventory and of course the accuracy even. We can have better control over the businesses that we are trying to manage, and mistakes are less frequent. Okay. So that is what we are going to have. Okay. Right. So fulfillment, we are going to have with the case of QC, quality control measures. Okay. So the workers, maybe if there is not much satisfaction, if the manpower is not good enough to handle this one, so what they will do, if the processes are not being monitored correctly, means whatever the labels that we are marking in the addresses, that might be swapped if it is not monitored properly. Like they will somehow do the processes, and maybe at whenever the time completes, immediately they will escape. Okay, so monitoring should be there. Okay, only then satisfaction should be there, quality control should be there. So when whatever maybe the processes, like third party logistics, or maybe company, or maybe brand, or maybe organization, whatever we carry over, QC should be there, quality control should be there. So QC should be there in all of the processes that we are going to monitor. And of course, whenever we have inbound as well as outbound logistics, it is going to optimize the speed of delivery. So everything has to be ordered, streamlined, okay, received, picked, packed, shipped, like the last mile delivery, everything has to be done forward. And customer preferences are something like they are expecting express deliveries, and it has to be also efficient even. Okay, so well bound inbound as well as outbound logistics will facilitate this quicker delivery, and that is a complete advantage to the business that you are going to carry forward. And with regards to any particular update or maybe upgrade in the process also, so that also should be incorporated, and the process should run smoothly as ever. Okay, right, fine. So you, whenever the processes are complete, whenever it goes on smooth, okay, so you have to also think about the maximization of sales as well as the revenue also. So it depends not about the sales, but how you try to follow about the sales. Okay, so there should be like a dedicated software and hardware for handling this stuff. Okay, so efficient inbound outbound logistics is all about meeting the customer's requirements, and about having a software to follow up on the sales and promotion event. Okay, so smoother customer experiences definitely will pave way for the increase of the sales, and definitely the business upgrade will also be there in the coming generations with regards to the advanced technologies. Okay, and you have to reduce the cost as well. Okay, so whenever you have to increase the revenue, okay, so the cost cutting should be there. Okay, not on the manpower, not on the available technologies, but on the extra stuff that it is needed. Okay, that you can do so. Okay, so efficient logistics is all about cost cutting. Okay, necessitate few labor hours a business must pay for, and definitely it should be less prone to losing the inventory. Okay, sometimes what happens, we try to cut down the most effective technologies that are needed by the well efficient, well equipped labor. Okay, sometimes it is going to create a pressure on him or her, and that might disrupt the entire process, and that might create a negative impact on the sales and promotion. So that has to be taken care of. Okay, so this is the process. Okay, like we have the manufacturer or supplier, from that sourcing goes on, then we go for purchasing, then we go into the modes of the transportation. Okay, to the merchant's warehouse. From the merchant's warehouse, okay, it goes on to receiving, storage, processing your order, fulfillment, shipping, last mile delivery, and finally the customer doorstep with the case of the service or maybe the feedback. So uh, these are all the entire processes with the case of inbound and outbound logistic processes. Okay, and we have one procedure called as reverse logistics that happens in the inbound, so that we will be discussing. Okay, so inbound logistic process, first of all, we have like sourcing. Okay, you are going to decide what type of materials or maybe inventory that your business actually needs. Okay, so and you have to also determine how and where you get these raw materials. Okay, from the third party or maybe through a specialized center. Okay, so sourcing is all about researching what are the cost efficient materials that you get, what are the quality products that you try to maintain for your business. Okay, and products you get from the manufacturer or maybe supplier or maybe vendor, that you have to identify. Okay, so remember, quality and cost efficient, researching the materials as well as products, then purchasing the materials. So you have to make a purchase order. Now to make a purchase order, you have to decide, okay, from which inventory you have to purchase with. Okay, So you and your supplier, or maybe you and your manufacturer, should keep a record about all the transactions, and that has to be taken forward with the software. It's not like writing in a paper, and so you are going to maintain that. You have to maintain a software dedicated for this purpose. Okay. So what are the materials? What are the goods that your business would need, and what you can order? Okay, for the proper freight shipping, so that you should decide. So purchasing materials and keeping all the transaction records is the this one second step. And then the third step is transportation to the distribution channels. So maybe after the order is confirmed, the supplier or the manufacturer, you can transfer the goods to the appropriate location, or maybe through the distribution channels by this freight shipping. Maybe you can take air, ground, but rail, okay, or maybe ocean, or maybe a combination also you can go for. So these businesses can have goods which are sent to the retail stores, warehouses, satisfaction, or maybe fulfillment centers, or maybe distribution centers if it involves third party. Okay. Fourth step is receiving. So when the goods are going to arrive at the store, or maybe warehouse, or maybe fulfillment center, the receiving team is in charge of the receiving the inventory. So when it is going to receive the inventory means there should be equipments, proper equipments to receive them. Okay. So it should be accustomed with the new technologies. Okay. Only if it is accustomed to use the new technologies, then definitely the process would have been much easier. You can save the time and your effort also, and you can reduce your manpower needed for that. Okay. So the team will accept the shipment, log it in their records, whatever may be the thing. Okay. And count the contents to make sure the shipment is done properly in the way it was picked, in the way it was packed, and the way it was distributed and received. Okay. And then storage. So if the shipment is actually acceptable, the receiving team will then move the inventory to the storage part. You are going to store it, and it will be still remaining until the start of the outbound logistic process. So after then we'll have this process. It's a very important concept, reverse logistics. Okay, so it's nothing but the process of customer returning or maybe exchanging. That step is also there, that is there in the agreement. Okay, so it is qualified as a inbound logistic process, or maybe as inventory. Okay, that is coming into the warehouse. So maybe when the shipments from the customers arrive at the warehouse, they have to be examined, they have to be checked. Okay, they have to verify, and if the product is unopened or maybe in good condition means, then definitely you can restock it into the available inventory and you can exchange it. If it is open, if it is damaged, no chance, because that also follows the agreement. Okay, so the warehouse team will need to find a way to move it out of the warehouse. Okay, so this is actually considered as the intermediate process between the inbound and then outbound logistics.